because astronomers have hit the jackpot. This is their dream come true. A new chapter in astronomy has opened up. And about 1/5 or so of them have Earth-sized planets going around them.
It started like a whisper from the stars, faint, fragile, almost dismissible, like so many signals before it. But this time, something was different. The world didn't know it yet, but something had just shifted. And the man who would stand at the center of it all, Michio Kaku, didn't break the news like a scientist citing data. He spoke like someone who had touched the edge of a miracle. For years, we've looked up, asking the same question in countless languages, across civilizations, carved into stone, whispered in prayer, shouted through radio waves into the abyss of space. Are we alone? And now the silence has cracked. Kaku stood before the world not to speculate, not to imagine, but to confirm. There was life out there, real, living, alien life. And it wasn't in some far-off galaxy, unreachable in 1,000 lifetimes. It was right next door, just over 4 light years away, circling a dim red star we call Proxima Centauri. On a planet we thought we already knew, a planet called Proxima B. The news sent a shiver through humanity, not fear, not panic, something deeper, a trembling in the soul that comes when the impossible suddenly becomes real. When the world you thought you lived in cracks open to reveal a hidden truth that had been waiting patiently for us to be ready. For decades, Proxima B had been a tease, a maybe, a whisper. Its size was right, its orbit promising. But that promise always came with a catch. Red dwarf stars are violent. They flare. They scorch. Any atmosphere we hoped Proxima B might have was surely gone, stripped away by radiation, shredded by stellar tantrums. That was the story. That was the comfort. Until it wasn't. Because when the James Webb Space Telescope opened its golden eye to that little world, it didn't see death. It saw breath. Kaku revealed what those silent machines had uncovered, a cocktail of gases in the planet's atmosphere that shouldn't exist together. Oxygen, methane, chemical fingerprints that, on any normal planet, would cancel each other out unless something alive, was constantly producing them. It wasn't just a hint. It wasn't just wishful thinking. It was a stable, repeating pattern, a system in balance, a system in motion, a system that breathed. And then came the second blow, a thermal signature, faint but real, detected on the surface. Heat moving across the planet's face in patterns no random physics could explain. Some regions retain warmth like skin touched by sunlight. Others cooled as though something there knew how to let go. It was organized, it was deliberate, it was life, managing its own survival under a hostile red sky. Kaku didn't smile when he shared this. He didn't laugh. He didn't gloat. He looked changed, as though even he, with his brilliant mind and boundless curiosity, had stumbled upon a truth too massive to hold all at once. His voice didn't rise. It fell, soft, almost reverent, like a priest describing a vision. Because what the data told him, what the evidence shouted from every angle, was that we were no longer alone. We had never been. And then the final piece clicked into place. Rhythmic pulses of light, surface reflectivity changing like seasons, like days, like photosynthesis. It was as though something on Proxima B was responding to its world, just as leaves turn to the sun or flowers close to sleep. Patterns sync to its 11-day orbit. It wasn't just surviving, it was adapting. For the first time in human history, we weren't peering into the dark and asking, what if? We were standing in the light of an answer, and it was saying, yes. The world didn't erupt into chaos. There were no riots in the streets, no blaring alarms or emergency broadcasts. What happened instead was far more profound. People stood still. In living rooms, in classrooms, in subway cars, in silent bedrooms lit by glowing screens, they paused. Not because they were afraid, but because the weight of what they had just heard pulled everything else into silence. The sky above wasn't just sky anymore. It was no longer an empty canvas for dreams or a backdrop for poetry. It was inhabited, and not by ghosts of imagination or flickers of superstition, but by life. Actual, breathing, foreign life. Michio Kaku had long been a man of futures, a mind that often lived 10 steps ahead of the present. But on this day, even he seemed rooted in the moment. And that moment wasn't just about science. It was about identity, about belief, about the rewriting of what it means to be human. He spoke of the possibility that ecosystems, real functioning ecosystems, could be thriving in isolated pockets across Proxima B's rugged terrain. Areas warmed just enough by the red sun's light, protected by terrain or natural magnetic fields. Places where alien biology carved out a foothold in the harshness of space. And it was in those fragile, improbable cradles of life that something ancient had been quietly growing, utterly unaware of us. Just as we had been unaware of them, then came a detail that pierced deeper than any statistic. Kaku revealed that the data didn't just point to microbial life. It hinted at complexity, at structures, at interactions. The signs were faint, the margins delicate, but there was something beyond single-celled organisms, possibly colonies, possibly the early scaffolding of a biosphere, something in motion, something evolving. And still, there was no need for Hollywood. No monsters, no tentacles, no green-skinned caricatures of fear. What Kaku delivered was so much more powerful than fantasy. It was reality. This life wasn't just alien. It was alien in its purity, unshaped by Earth's story, untouched by its rise and fall of species, uninfluenced by our carbon footprints and technological sprawl. It was a second Genesis, a second try, nature's other experiment. People began asking questions, not just in labs or lecture halls, but around kitchen tables and on late-night walks. What does this life look like? Does it crawl? Does it bloom? Is it cold to the touch? Does it feel pain? The questions came not from fear, but from longing, from the human desire to know, to reach out, to connect, to find ourselves in the reflection of the unknown. Religious leaders paused their sermons. Some saw confirmation of divine multiplicity, a universe brimming with creation. Others wrestled with the idea of God's image mirrored in something so foreign. Philosophers dusted off ancient texts, searching for threads of thought that could guide this new world. And the children asked the best questions of all. Can we talk to them? Do they have families? Are they scared of us? And somewhere beneath all the awe and analysis was a soft, persistent heartbeat. Hope. Hope that if life could emerge in such a dark and violent place, then maybe it was everywhere. Maybe it was watching us from icy moons and floating clouds and the edges of dying suns. Maybe we were never a fluke, never a lonely spark. Maybe we were part of something vast, something eternal. Kaku's voice became quieter as he approached the heart of it. This wasn't just a scientific victory, it was a rebirth. For the first time, humanity had stepped into a wider world, not through conquest, not through domination, but through listening, observing, honoring. Proxima B didn't shout to us across space, it whispered, and we for once were wise enough to hear. The revelation spread, not like fire, but like sunrise, slowly, gently, irrevocably. Lighting the corners of our minds we didn't know were still dark. We weren't alone. We had never been. In the days that followed, the world changed, not in its shape, not in its cities or landscapes, but in its heart. Something ancient had shifted. Borders didn't vanish, but for a fleeting moment, they felt smaller. The night sky wasn't just distant anymore. It was personal. Every twinkle of starlight now carried the possibility of another home, another chance, another story unfolding far away from ours. Kaku's revelation about Proxima B did more than confirm alien life. It cracked open a door we didn't even know was closed. And through that crack poured questions we were only just learning how to ask. If life is out there, then who are we really? Are we a beginning, a branch, a cousin, a mistake, a miracle? If life can thrive in the shadows of a red sun, what else might the universe be hiding in its quiet corners? Scientists were no longer theorizing in the dark. They were strategizing. Missions once considered too ambitious, too far-fetched, suddenly seemed urgent. Research funding shifted. New instruments were prioritized. Proposals for interstellar probes to Proxima Centauri, dreams long shelved under bureaucracy, were dusted off, refined, greenlit. Not to conquer, not to claim, but to learn, to reach out gently as if approaching a wild animal for the first time, heart pounding with reverence. In classrooms around the globe, children sat wide-eyed as teachers rewrote the narrative of life itself. Biology textbooks, once constrained to Earth's rules, expanded to include the unimaginable. Evolution was no longer a singular tale, it was a universal language, spoken in forms yet unseen. Imagine the thrill of a young mind, just beginning to grasp the world, suddenly told, "This isn't all there is." Imagine what kind of future that child might help build. But it wasn't just science that felt the tremor, it was everything. Art, literature, philosophy. Each began reaching for new metaphors, new visions. Music was written to honor a planet 4 light-years away. Sculptures rose in parks, shaped not like men or gods, but like imagined life from red-lit valleys. Poets wrote sonnets to organisms no human had ever seen, and in every line was the same heartbeat. We are not alone. Of course, there was caution. Questions loomed like shadows at the edge of wonder. What if this life is fragile? What if our reaching hands are too clumsy, too greedy? What if the greatest threat to Proxima B isn't its flaring sun, but us? Kaku had warned of this. That discovery should never become entitlement. That curiosity must never eclipse respect. The life on Proxima B had endured without us for billions of years. If we are to meet it, not just detect it, we must do so as guests, not gods. Still, the possibilities sparked dreams that had slept too long. Could we one day exchange biology with another world? Trade genes, ideas, survival strategies? Could alien organisms teach us how to heal, how to grow, how to survive even the harshest environments? Could they hold answers to our own past, secrets hidden in their cells that echo the birth of life across the stars? And deeper still, could we love them? That was the quiet, terrifying, beautiful question behind all the rest. Could we, a species so often torn by its own reflection, look at something utterly unlike us and feel kinship? In Proxima B, we didn't just find life. We found a mirror, not of our shape or language, but of our spirit, of the stubborn will to exist, of life pushing against the odds, refusing to go quietly. In that mirror, we saw not only another world, but the best of our own, our hunger to know, our ability to wonder, our readiness to change. So now the sky is no longer empty, and somewhere under a dim red sun, something breathes. And it's not us, but now we know it's there, and we'll never look at the universe the same way again.